Trump decided that it would be great to have another interview with his a dismal performance against Chris Wallace last time with Fox News. Him getting garroted. He decided that it would be a good idea to step up to the plate with Axios this time, HBO, to have a one-on-one interview for 40 minutes. All right, and I saw some snippets from this one, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So we should be going over it. Okay, we didn't go over the last one. We're hitting this one up. I promise you. This is gonna be good. If your site is worse than 4chan, then you need help. Yeah, it's hard. 9gag's having a hard time right now. Ooh, mask required. E pluribus unum. That's my boy right there. No, you're watching one streamer go over the interview, me, and you're watching another person pretend to. Look at that sad Trump. Look at that sad Trump picture. Look at him, dude. He's so sad. Dude, Trump must be like not being able to get any sleep. He must be so sad right now. All right, we're waiting. I'm so ready for this. There he is. Oh my gosh, look at look how many papers he has. Holy crap, dude! He got like shitted on when he was with Chris Wallace when he tried to say some things and then he couldn't find any way to back them up. He came prepared this time. He took a page out of freaking Red Elephant's book and became Binder Andy Trump here with the papers. All right, he came prepared.
Thank you so much for having us. You're over here, Mr. President. Thank you. Hey, Kaylee.
Okay.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
Everyone says build the wall. Everyone always says build the wall. Nobody asks, how is the wall? This really says a lot about our society. Oh shit, dude. Look at his freaking face. Holy. He looks like a fish. I hate this man.
You taking the time,
Good.
And we appreciate your commitment to answer our questions.
Sure.
Really appreciate that. Over the years, I've heard you talk about your adherence to a philosophy called positive thinking.
John Swan. Hey, boys, we got John Swan. All right. John Swan, hit us up. Does Trump have a binder full of women? I wouldn't doubt it at this point.
This is the mantra that if you believe something, if you visualize it, then it will happen.
To an extent, I also think in terms of the downside.
Right.
I've been given a lot of credit for positive thinking, but I also think about downside because only a fool doesn't.
To what
He's I also think of downside because only if prepare for the worst, expect the best is what my father always taught me. Like he's trying his best to act as like the unifier this whole time as he's just completely pretended the pandemic was fake and a hoax from China. Like he's trying his darndest. His aides scolded him so hard, and he's coming out here on this one trying to make things put things back together. Yeah, the tan line's really bad.
To what extent do you think that positive thinking mindset is suitable to handling the worst pandemic that we've seen in a century?
I think you have to have a positive outlook, otherwise you would have nothing.
Yeah, that's true because Trump provided nothing to the American people to look up for. So you better look up because you'll have nothing
Without a positive outlook. I think we've done an incredible job between the ventilators and stopping very infected people from China coming in, meaning putting the ban on China, which frankly nobody wanted me to do, practically nobody because it was very early in January. Then putting the ban on Europe, not an easy thing to do. When you put a ban on Europe, that's a big thing. We would have probably lost hundreds of thousands of lives more had I not done that.
Dude, I don't know, dude. He did the China ban thing. I'll give him a little bit of props with like banning travel from China. cool, sick. Then he sat on his ass for like 2 weeks or something and then banned travel from Europe. He was acted really slow against all of the medical professionals advice. He acted super slow. And then like some conservatives are like, yeah, but Democrats said that he was mean for doing it. I don't remember that, but if they did, listen, if your president is so weak that he can't stand up to the opposition party when they criticize him for doing something, then I don't think he deserves to be president. This guy definitely doesn't deserve to be president, but if you can't stand up to the opposition party, then yeah, dog, you're just not, you weren't cut out for it, chief.
And all of the experts, every one of them, not one of them wanted to do it. They thought it was too severe. 3 months later, they're all saying, I'm glad you did it.
The criticism of you that is most prominent is about the communication. It's the public health experts saying that it needs to be based in reality. And they're saying that the wishful thinking and the salesmanship is just not suitable at a time when a pandemic has killed 145,000 Americans. And it's that I understand what you're saying, that people need to hear positive thinking.
Wait, when this came out, it said 145,000. We're at 160,000. Dude, we're ramping up real quick. These numbers are, listen, he's right. These numbers, maybe Trump thinks that when we're doing well, the pandemic, like the number gets bigger. You know, he's like, damn, we're really winning. He wakes up every day and the number's bigger. He's like, we're really doing a good job.
But, you know, for the past 5 months, it's been the virus is totally under control and the cases have been going up and the deaths have been going up. Look. But you've been saying it's under control.
Nobody knew what this thing was all about. This has never happened before. 1917, but it was a totally different, it was a flu in that case, okay? But other than 1917, there's never been anything like this. And by the way, if you watch the fake news on television, they don't even talk about it. But you know, there are 188 other countries right now that are suffering, some proportionately far greater than we are, okay? As bad as we are.
Very few.
I don't know some proportion? I don't know, dude. He's coming out here with maybe it's in his binder. Maybe that's what his aides gave him in his binder or something. I hope it's color coded because I know for a fact this man doesn't fucking read. Okay, so I mean, not many. We're doing the worst out of almost every country ever, and like saying, yeah, no, this has never happened before. Dog, you're surrounded by the smartest people in the country to figure this out. I think they've studied it long enough. He just decided not to listen to any of them. He's retweeting pictures of Fauci being a leaker and an alarmist, and he's like, hey, he's been an alarmist. Listen, and then the whole time talking about how it's just gonna go away. 15 cases will go to 0. 100 cases will go to 0. We have this thing under control. As like this freaking line goes into the stratosphere, dude. Yeah, I bet.
Proportionately greater than we are right now. Spain is having a big spike.
Nothing like this has ever happened before, except for that one time when it happened before. Oh yeah, and the time before that, but before that, nothing. We've never ever seen anything like this before. He's just like a shitter, dude.
And there are tremendous problems in the world. You look at Moscow, look at what's going on with Moscow, look at Brazil, look at these countries, what's going on. This was sent to us by China, one way or the other.
Aren't we still doing worse than Brazil? And now he's like, damn, dude, the buck does have to stop somewhere. And he's throwing it to Xi Jinping real hard. I'm sorry, but Xi Jinping does not control this country. He doesn't. And yeah, China's probably lying about their cases too, but that does not absolve Trump for the horrible job that he's done.
And we're never going to forget it. Believe me, we're never going to forget it. And we were beating China at every single point. We were beating them on trade. We were making progress like nobody's ever made progress. They had, before the pandemic, they had the worst year, Jonathan, that they've had in 67 years. You know that, with the tariffs and everything else I did. We were taking in billions of dollars. I was giving some of it to the farmers. The farmers were doing well because...
Taking in billions of dollars. Chief, does Trump... do you guys remember this? When I wasn't streaming or anything, when like the trade war thing was super big, we're all gonna die. Yeah, but at least we'll be dying together. I wasn't streaming or anything. I wasn't making content when the trade war was like really big, but Trump, he touted the whole thing. He's like, look how much money we made off of look how much money we made off the tariffs. Look how much money we're getting from China. China doesn't pay tariffs. We do. Like America pays the tariffs. It's a tax on Americans. That's how it works. It's not a tax on Chinese people. It's a tax on Americans. What are you talking about?
They were targeting the farmers. I was targeting China. We were doing good. Then all of a sudden the game changed and I had to close it down. I closed down the greatest economy.
Oh wait, I didn't even get to go over that. China had the worst year in 67 years because China's been on like a straight line, growing exponentially for like ever since it industrialized. It's been growing and industrializing so fast that it had to stop somewhere, and then it dropped. That's just how it kind of works. I'm not even sure if the tariffs played a massive role into it, but we're not really doing better than China. With Trump trying to pull back all of our international influence, China's been getting a massive leg up in the developing world, trying to buy friends down there and exploit the developing world for their resources. And you know what? We should have a president to stop them, but that's not going to be Trump.
Economy ever in history. And then I closed it down, and now we're opening it. And we say, by the way, by closing it down, we saved millions of lives. If we would have gone to herd, and we knew very little about the disease, if we would have gone herd, we would have lost millions of people. Millions of people.
Wait, what is he saying? If we would have gone herd, what are you talking about? Is that like a Magic the Gathering card? What are you talking? If we would have gone herd, is he talking about herd immunity?
By the way, by closing it down, we saved millions of lives. If we would have gone to herd, and we knew very little about the disease, if we would have gone herd, we would have lost millions.
Are you guys ready to go herd? That sounds like a sex crime. What do you go herd? I have never heard anybody refer to herd immunity like that.
Millions of people. One person's too much. We're at 140,000 people. One person is too much. We're at 140. We would have lost millions of people. And those people that really understand it, they really understand it. They said it's incredible the job that we've done. And again, I bring it up.
Who says that?
The banning China from coming in.
But it was already in here. It was already here. Like by the time you banned China, it came in through Europe.
Nobody knew the extent. Nobody knew how contagious it was.
But the question is, Mr. President,
maybe China knew.
By June, we knew things were bad. And the last time I was with you was the day before your Tulsa rally in the Oval. And you were saying big, huge crowd. It was indoors.
By the way,
these people, they listen to you.
Excuse me, Jonathan.
Yeah.
We had a 19,000 seat stadium.
He's acting like he's talking. Mr. President, please, these people listen to you. They're dying. He's like, Jonathan, you don't understand. I'm doing it great. It would have been so much worse. It would have been. I'm just doing so. He's like, President, you're not listening. President, please. He's pleading. He's pleading with Trump. He just can't understand it, dude. See, this is what I was talking. I heard someone say, just like Trump just barreling through all of this. It's kind of like I remember someone saying that Biden would slowly concede to his like dementia, while Trump would just like barrel through it and pretend it doesn't exist. I think we're seeing this right here, dude. Just my man, he's just plowing through. He doesn't even care. He doesn't even remember who he is, probably.
First of all, we had 12,000 people, not 6,000, which you reported and other people reported. But you couldn't even get in. It was like an armed camp.
Why would you have wanted that?
120 Black Lives Matter people.
I understand, but why would you have wanted a huge crowd?
Excuse me, wait. And Tulsa, well, because that area was a very good area at the time. It was an area that was pretty much over. After a month later, it started going up. That's a month later. But Tulsa was a very good. Oklahoma was doing very well as a state. It was almost free. It spiked a month later, a month and a half, 2 months later. But
yeah, I wonder what was going on in that point in time that made Oklahoma spike. Didn't like the mayor of Oklahoma of Tulsa or something, or like the governor of Oklahoma was like, yeah, the rally really like messed us up when it came to getting the virus under control, because so many people went to that rally, coughed down each other's throat. Herman Cain got coronavirus there, died. Yeah, Herman Cain died at the Tulsa rally. There are other people who took that virus home with them and just walked around like it didn't exist. Like Trump is literally killing. This is negligent, like a manslaughter. At this point, this is insane levels of disregard for human lives.
It was a good area. We had a tremendous crowd. We had tremendous response. You couldn't even, it was like an armed camp. You couldn't even get through. You couldn't get anybody in. We had 12,000 people. It was incorrectly reported. The other thing we had that nobody wants to talk about. So Fox broadcast it. It was the highest rating in the history of Fox television, Saturday night. It was the highest rating.
Mr. President.
My speech, well, wait a minute, you're saying something.
He's like, I don't understand. Every time John Swan is in the room with Donald Trump, he's amazed. He's amazed that this man was even able to put his tie on, nonetheless make it to the highest office, arguably on the planet. He's just so shook. Look at this face. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. This is hilarious in all of the worst ways.
Yeah.
That speech was the highest rated speech in the history of Fox television on Saturday night. And nobody says that.
I think you misunderstand me. I'm criticizing.
What? He's still doing it. He can't get out of being a reality TV star host. He just can't escape it. He's just stuck in that world. He's like a child actor, you know? He's just stuck in being just only caring about ratings. He's literally talking about people dying and bringing home a deadly disease to their family. And he's like, but John, the ratings. John, the ratings. Come on.
I've covered you for 5 years. You draw massive crowds, you get huge ratings. I'm asking about the public health.
And I canceled another one. I had to cancel it. We're going to have a great crowd in New Hampshire, and I canceled it for the same reason.
But here's the question.
I'm actually pretty sure that the governor canceled that one.
I've gone to your rallies. I've talked to your people. They love you. They listen to you. They listen to every word you say. They hang on your every word. They don't listen to me or the media or Fauci. They think we're fake news. They want to get their advice from you. And so when they hear you say everything's under control, don't worry about wearing masks, I mean, these are people, many of them are older people,
What's
Mr.
your
President.
definition of control?
Yeah, that's true. Like, the only reason Trump is starting to change his tune on oh, my man, he makes the best faces. I love this guy. The only reason that Trump started to change his tune on coronavirus is because one of his aides showed him a map that it's actually his voters that are dying. And it may even be able to swing the election with how many of his voters are actually dying in these red states that are spiking like completely out of control because they just listen to him. It's really crazy how in these people's minds, Trump has superseded experts, superseded reporters, superseded everything. Trump is their guiding light. He is the only thing that matters. He is the highest authority in the land. Some people even think he's higher up than Jesus Christ himself. You know, I remember this one interview of this dude who was like, if Trump told you one thing and Jesus Christ descended from heaven, horns of the angels leading him down to the ground in front of you, told you another, who would you listen to? And he was like, I think I'd consult Trump again just to be sure. Like, these people are insane.
Yeah. Under the
It's giving them a false sense of
right
security.
now, I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. But that doesn't
But my
mean we
ratings-
aren't doing everything we can. It's under control as much as you can control it. This is a horrible
It's
plague
not.
that-
It is not. It's these schools are reopening. Wait a second. Wait, I think I can pull something up like super quick. Did I like this? I can't spell. School. Yeah. Wait a second. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. Like, this is what school looks like in Georgia right now. This is what school looks like in Georgia right now. And they're telling me that this kid isn't even wearing a mask. These ones back here aren't even wearing masks. This kid isn't wearing a mask. And he's telling me this is the best that you can do? Really? This is all we got as like the greatest country in the world? This is all we can muster? This? Really? Oh my gosh.
He said,
Do you really think this is as much as we can control?
well,
1,000
I'll tell
deaths a
you, I'd
day?
like to know if somebody, first of all, we have done a great job. We've gotten the governors everything they needed. They didn't do their job. Many of them didn't, and some of them did. Someday we'll sit down, we'll talk about the successful ones, the good ones. Look at that smile. The good ones and the bad. We had good and bad, and we had a lot in the middle. But we had some incredible governors. I could tell you right now who the great ones are and who the not so great ones are. But the
Go ahead,
governors
tell
do
us.
it. We
I know
gave
he
them
doesn't know
massive
any of these
amounts
names.
material.
Mr. President, you changed your message this week in terms of you cancelled the Jacksonville Convention. You said wear a mask. You're saying, that it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's not something
We
you
also
like
have
to
one
say.
of the
I
worst
mean, you said
death
that.
rates in the country.
The big
Well,
question,
not
in the
get
world.
worse like the original flow. You understand that. But
Well, I hope not. It's
worse.
1,000.
Now, if you look, Arizona's going down.
if I could just finish my question.
Texas is going down, and Florida's going down.
The question is, are you going to, even some of your own aides wonder whether you would stick to that message until election day, whether in a week or two you won't say, right, we've got to reopen again. We can't do this stuff anymore, that you'll get bored of talking about the virus and go back to that sort of
I never
cheerleading.
get bored. I never get bored of talking about this. It's too big a thing. And again,
So will
it
you
could
stick to
have
that
been
message?
stopped by China. It should have been stopped by China, and it wasn't.
But now it's here,
We
and
have
you're the
it
president.
here. And I think I'm
You're the
very
leader.
consistent. No, this is a very serious thing. Do you think we have 140,000 people at this moment? This is a very, very serious situation. And what you have to do is handle it the best it can be handled. And again, I'm working with the governors. I got them tremendous amounts of equipment that they would have never gotten. Jonathan, they wouldn't have equipment now if I didn't get it.
When can you commit,
Like,
by what date,
even
that
he
every
hasn't
American
even
will have
taken care
access?
of like Texas. Like, there are places in Texas that are having their hospitals overrun, and like some places in Texas have now instituted death panels where they have to choose which person gets a ventilator, which person gets a hospital bed, and which person goes home and dies with their family to infect them as well with their dead COVID body. They're literally ordering refrigerator trucks to throw the dead bodies into because they're losing so many people. It's incredible to me to think that Trump or anybody else with more than 2 brain cells to rub together can honestly believe that the U.S. has done the best that they can to mitigate this damage. It's incredible.
To the same day testing that you get here in the White House.
Well, we have great testing. We're doing, and
By
many
what
other
date?
people do. Let me explain the testing. We have tested more people than any other country, than all of Europe put together times 2. We have tested more people than anybody ever thought of. India has 1.4 billion people. They've done 11 million tests. We've done 55. It'll be close to 60 million tests. And, you know, there are those that say, you can test too much. You do know that.
Who says that?
Oh, just read the manuals, read the books.
Manuals?
Read the
What
books.
manual?
Read the manuals, read the books. Listen, read the papers, read the pamphlets. I saw something the other day. We're testing too much. Who says that? Who says that? No one says that. He always just makes up these little white lies to make himself like seem better than he actually is. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. I don't know, dude. It is wild to me. Trump is insane. He's falling apart. He's falling apart at the seams. I love John Swan's faces.
Read the books.
What books?
What testing does?
No, I'm
is
sorry,
it shows, wait a minute. Let me explain.
What books?
What testing does? It shows cases. It shows where there may be cases.
Oh, he's an NPC, dude. Trump is a bot. He only has a couple of voice lines that he can throw out. As you see, the ratings, we've done the best. Just read the books. Yeah, read the books. Holy wow. Wait, what's he saying now?
Other countries test. You know.
Oh yeah, and then the classic, as we test and then the cases go up. But if we test less, the cases go down. So if you see, we just test less and then the cases go down. People are telling me to test less. This would be better. This is much more preferable.
When they test when somebody's sick. That's when they test. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Nobody's done it like we've done it. We've gotten absolutely no credit for it. But we've come up with so many different tests. The only thing that we have now is some people have to wait longer than we'd like them to.
It's a big problem.
We want point to point. We want to have a 5-minute to a 15-minute
Right.
test.
When do you
have,
think?
and like many others,
Every
from what I
American.
understand, we're close to 50% where it's point to point test. We are making thousands of instruments, thousands of tests right now, tens of thousands that can be distributed to various parts of the country. But you have to understand.
Also, we have like really bad testing. There's some states that have had to like compete against each other to get testing and equipment. Trump has not been getting equipment to these states.
And we've even sent some of them to other countries where they had a big problem. Jonathan, almost 50%, in fact, I think the number might be over, is immediate testing. The other's tough. You take a test, you have to send it to a laboratory. Let's say that takes a day. Let's say
Right.
it's a day.
It's difficult.
You know, so it's 3 or 4 or
understand.
5 days. There's nothing you do about that.
But when do you think we'll have it for
I
everyone?
think that you will.
Oh, also, like our tests have been taking like up to 15 weeks. My brother has been having some of the doctors considered COVID-19 symptoms, and they gave him a COVID test, and this was like a week ago, and he still hasn't gotten it back. Like on average, these people are getting their tests back in like 2 weeks, and at that point, it doesn't really even mean anything anymore.
Have that relatively soon. I mean, again,
What does that mean?
you already have half.
Yeah.
I would much rather get back to you because I don't
Okay.
want to have you
That's
write
fine.
in 1 month.
That's
I
fine.
didn't make it. I missed it by
Yeah,
a day.
I
It
get
was
it.
a headline.
Mr. President, I want to talk about the federal intervention.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
one thing I would say about
Yeah.
testing. Because we test so much, we show cases. So we show many, many cases. We show tremendous number of, I know you're smiling when I say that.
No,
but
but
I'm
come on,
telling
I mean, I've heard you say this,
Other
but-
countries don't test like we do, so they don't show
You
cases.
got your results the next day. Well, you don't live here. I have no clue how long it would take to get my test back. I know at the beginning when we had our little bump, it was easier to get our tests back. I know my parents went to go get tested. They got it back pretty quickly, but also they have the VA, and I think the testing through the VA is much better. But like for just for us civilians. But Canadian healthcare is bad because of the wait. People are dying in line. People get shot in the heart. Not shot because Canadians aren't allowed to have guns because they have anti-freedom. Someone gets stabbed with a chopstick through the freaking spleen, and they're sitting there in the wait room, and the Canadian says something in French, and they're like, I don't speak French, and they're like, well, you better learn, bucko, and then they just die, in the wait room, bleeding out. or something in Canada land, because that's what Canadian healthcare is like. Yeah, basically. Yeah, some people are waiting. I think we've heard like horror story wait times up to like 20 days.
Points on that. I wasn't going to continue on the testing, but you said.
Oh yeah, also like some coronavirus tests. I think. Wait, what was it? Wasn't there like Well, likely the lowest cost. Anybody tests is around $50 and $100 to $200 for a PCR swab. Nice meme. Nice meme. $100. Oh yeah, wait. Why coronavirus cost could cost $23 or $2,315. This is America.
So we're testing so much because it's spread so far in America.
We're testing so much because we had the ability to test.
Okay,
because we came up with
but
tests.
South Korea.
Jonathan, we didn't even have a test. When I took over, we didn't even have a test. Now, in all fairness,
why would you have a test?
There was no test
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a test?
I was going to say,
Okay.
there was no test for this.
Wait a second. Wait, I need to hear that again. I didn't hear that. Please tell me I didn't hear that.
Have a test. When I took over, we didn't even have a test. We had the ability to test.
Okay,
because we came up with
but
tests.
South Korea.
Jonathan, we didn't
We came up with tests? America invented tests?
even have a test. When I took over, we didn't even have a test.
The virus didn't exist. He's like, man, come on, dude. Come on, dude. Back in 2017 when I took over, they didn't even have a coronavirus test, and now they have one. I'm doing so good. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? The coronavirus didn't exist. What do you mean? Who is this guy? It's the same. And then you know what? You know what the craziest thing is? And then you're going to hear like conservatives parroting this exact same talking point that just sputtered from this guy's mouth. You know that in the next days they're going to be a conservative is unironically going to say, when Donald Trump took over, there wasn't a coronavirus test, and now there is. And then they're gonna post like a like an American flag, and then like a emoji, and then like a fireworks emoji, and they're gonna be like, "We're doing so well."
Now, in all fairness,
why would you have a test?
There was no test
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you have a test?
I was going to say,
Okay.
there was no test for this. No, we didn't have a test because there was no.
Yes, people who work minimum wage, they wouldn't be able to afford it. Welcome to America.
It
was broken the first
Many of those tests are now obsolete because we've, it's called science.
Huh? Under FDR, there was no coronavirus test. Checkmate, libtard.
And all of a sudden, something's better. But because we tested so many people, 55, 60 million people very soon, we get cases. You test, some kid has even just a little runny nose, it's a case. And then you report many cases. So we look like we have more cases than massive countries like China, which, by the way, doesn't report, as you know.
Well, I don't put any stock in China's figures.
The point is, because we are so much better at testing than any other country in the world, we show more cases.
The figure
That's our testing rate. I'm pretty sure even our testing rate was lower than our testing rate's higher now because most of those other countries are already like crushing their curve. The daily new reported cases are already like down, like pretty far down, way below what we have right now. So obviously their testing has gone down because they don't need that many tests anymore. They just don't. And ours is still way higher than theirs was at their peak. I'm pretty sure. My bad. Our testing is still kind of lower per capita than theirs was at their peak. I'm pretty sure. So he's just like manipulating data right now.
look at is death. And death is going up now.
Okay,
There's 1,000 a day.
If you look at death...
Yeah, it's going up again.
Let's look.
Daily death.
Take a look at some of these charts.
I'd love to.
We're going to look.
Let's look.
Oh,
And if you
Binder
look at
Andy,
death,
here we go.
Yeah. It's started to go up
Here's
again.
one. Well, right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories.
What the fuck
We're
am I
low.
looking at?
United
What
States
is he
is
looking
lowest in
Can they catch that?
numerous
Is the blue line? I think the blue line is us. I love how he had an intern run these out to get printed. What a waste of printer ink. Holy crap. Wait, so what is this? Is this like the death rate or something?
categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than
We're
the
lower
world?
than
What is that?
Europe.
Lower than the world.
In what? In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's
Oh, death is oh yeah. So what he's looking at is death in proportion of cases. So cases and deaths. Well, reported cases and deaths. Reported cases and reported deaths. And look at his face, dude. He's like, holy shit, I didn't see this one coming. Okay.
That's where the US is really bad. Much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
You can't do that. You have
Why
to go.
can't I do
You
that?
have to go by. You have to go by where. Look, here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. The cases.
Why
are
not
there.
as a proportion of
When we have
population?
somebody, what it says is when you have somebody that has where there's a case.
Oh, okay.
The people that live from those cases.
It's surely a relevant statistic to say if the US has X population and X percentage of death of that population
No,
versus
because you
South
have to
Korea.
go by the cases.
Well, look at South Korea, for example. 51 million population, 300 deaths. It's like, it's crazy.
You don't
compared to
know
other
that.
I do. It's
You
something.
don't know that.
You think they're faking their statistics, South Korea?
I
An
won't get
advanced
into
country?
that because they have a very good relationship
Yeah.
with the.
Oh, he's gonna say everybody else is lying. That's what he wants to say. He really wants to
But
say
you
it's so
don't know
bad.
that. And they have spikes. Look, here's
Germany
one.
low,
Here's
9,000?
one. Here's one right here. United States. You take
Anyway.
the number of cases.
Okay.
Now look, we're last, meaning we're first.
Last? I don't know
We
what
have
we're
the
first
best.
in. As a what?
Take a look.
Okay,
Again, it's
I'll just-
cases.
Okay.
And we have cases because of the testing. Wait,
1,000 Americans a day, but I understand. On cases, it's different.
no, but you're not reporting it correctly, Jonathan.
I think I am, but
If you take a look at this other chart,
But Jonathan, you're not reporting it correctly. You're lying, Jonathan. You see. Look at the chart, Jonathan. I brought the whole paper for you, Jonathan. Look.
look, this is our testing, I believe. This is the testing, yeah.
yeah, we do more tests.
No, wait a minute. Well, don't we get credit for that? And because we do more tests, we have more cases. In other words, we test more. We have. Now take a look.
He's
The
literally
top one, that's a
crying.
good thing, not
He's
a
like,
bad thing.
"Where's-"
The top, Jonathan?
If hospital rates were
He's
going
like, where? He's like, where? Oh, where? I want credit for what I did. Where's our credit? So what? 160,000 people are dead. Come on, we did well in this one, right? Okay.
down and deaths were going down, I'd say terrific. You deserve to be praised for
Well, they
testing,
don't
but they're
even-
all going
you know,
up.
they very rarely talk-
60,000 Americans are in
If
hospital.
you watch the
1,000
news or
dying a
read the
day.
papers, they usually talk about new cases, new cases, new cases.
I'm talking about death.
Well, you look at
going
death.
up.
Death is way down from where it was.
It's 1,000 a
Death.
day. It was 2,500. It went down to 500. Now it's going up
Death,
again.
excuse me, where it was is much higher than where it is right now.
Went down, then it went up
spiked,
again.
but
Well, see, this is the one thing. There's this one guy in chat the other day who was like, guys, see, wow, they literally start parroting everything Trump says, and Trump is like, has many screws loose. It's crazy how they'll just like parrot anything that Trump says. Listen, deaths are down. Deaths are a lagging indicator from cases. So obviously, when the cases went down, the deaths went down later, and then when the cases go up, the deaths go up later. We're seeing the spike in deaths once again since it's been more than 2 weeks since the cases started to spike again. So yeah, the cases look down from where they were, but they're most likely going to jump up from where they were
now
too.
it's going down again. It's going
going up.
down in Arizona. It's going down in Florida.
National,
It's
it's
going
going
down in Texas. Take a look at this. These are the tests.
It's going down in Florida?
Yeah, it leveled out and it's going down. That's my report as of yesterday.
Anyway, Mr. President, if I could change
It
subject.
is going down
Wait,
in
of the
Arizona.
day.
Arizona it
Down
is.
in
Arizona
Texas.
it is. Texas
And
has
it
big
spiked,
problems.
and it spiked and it's now going down in Florida. It's evened out and going down in Florida.
I'll have to see those.
But you have to look at this. This is the number of tests compared
I
to the
don't
rest
deny
of the
your
world.
figures. You've done more tests by far than the rest
Right.
of them. I don't
and
deny
because
that.
we've done more tests, we have more cases.
You
Here
have
can take
more
it,
advantage.
check it out. at
Mr.
your
President,
office.
different subject. It's been widely reported that the US has intelligence indicating that Russia paid bounties or offered to pay bounties to Taliban fighters to kill American soldiers. You had a phone call with Vladimir Putin on July 23rd. Did you bring up this issue?
No, that was a phone call to discuss other things, and frankly, that's an issue that many people said was fake news.
Who said
that
it was
a
fake
false-
news?
I think a lot of people. If you
Wait,
look at
it was like, is he bring? I think he's bringing up that thing with Russian bounties. There's like a report that Russia put bounties on a lot of some like U.S. allies or U.S. soldiers, and then Trump literally did nothing. And then the conservatives who pretend to care about the soldiers when it's politically advantageous are like, I sleep.
some of the wonderful folks from the Bush administration, some of them, not any friends of mine, were saying that it's a fake issue. But a lot of people said it's a fake issue.
There was
Well, we
dispute
had a
within the
call,
intelligence.
talking about nuclear proliferation, which is a very big subject, where they would like to do something, and so would I. We discussed numerous things. We did not discuss that, no.
And you never discussed it with him.
I have never discussed it with him, no. I would. I'd have no problem with it.
But you don't believe
you know,
the
it
intelligence.
never
It's because you
got-
don't believe the intelligence. That's why.
Everything, you
Wow, dude. Like, President of the United States, even the dude who's like done no intelligence in his entire life, you know, you don't believe. It's because you don't believe the intelligence, right? He has to like straddle the line of being like against the deep state warmongers and like actually believing in reality. You know, he has to straddle that line. It's a really difficult line to walk. He's a tightrope walker.
You know, it's interesting. Nobody ever brings up China. They always bring Russia, Russia, Russia. If we can do something with Russia,
That was a massive pivot. I feel like I can file a class action lawsuit for me and all my brothers who just got whiplash for that massive pivot from Russia to China.
in terms of nuclear proliferation, which is a very big problem, bigger problem than global warming, a much bigger problem than global warming in terms of the real world. That would be great.
Well,
But no,
in terms of the real guy, we got to get this guy out of here. I am triggered, dude. I am triggered. In terms of the real world, a much bigger problem than global warming. Yes, who cares about rising temperatures across the world and dying species, and who cares about sea levels rising? Who cares about the future of our planet being more and more grim? Who cares? Who cares about environmental refugees from all parts of the world trying to leave their crumbling homeland? Who cares? That's a problem for the fake world. I live in the real world. Epic. It is an epic gamer moment.
it never reached my desk. You know why? Because they didn't think it was intelligence. They didn't think it was real.
It was in your written brief, though, apparently.
They didn't think it was worthy of. I wouldn't mind if it reached my desk. I would have done something about it. It never reached my desk because.
Do you read your written brief?
I do.
See, this is where it actually comes out that Trump just doesn't read. This is a really important piece of information that he just didn't read. It was in his brief, and he just didn't give a shit. He just went to go golf or something. I don't know. I don't know what he does, because his day. Remember that thing that came out that was like what Trump's day looks like, and it was like eat, sleep, shit, repeat, and that that's what his entire like presidential day was like. You know, and he does nothing. He does literally nothing. So I wouldn't expect that he actually didn't read the brief that was given to him, and then this went right over his head, and then he's catching flack for it.
I read a lot. Really? You know, I read a lot. They like to say I don't read. I read a lot.
Your daily
I
intelligence
comprehend
brief.
extraordinarily well.
He won't answer the question. He knows it's a lie.
Probably better than anybody that you've interviewed in a long time. I read a lot. I spend a lot of time at meetings. Usually it's once a
Trump
day
doesn't read.
or at least 2 or 3 times a week intelligence.
'Cause this was apparently
talking
in your
about India,
brief.
talking about with the problems with China, talking about so many different elements of the world. The world is a very angry place. If you look all over the world, we call up. I see 22 soldiers were killed in India with China fighting over the border. It's been raging for many, many decades. And they've been fighting and back and forth. I have so many briefings on so many different countries, but this one didn't reach my desk.
The reason I say this is even if you don't believe this particular piece of
Okay.
intelligence, and there is dispute, no doubt there is dispute in the intelligence community about it, your former, John Nicholson, former head of forces in Afghanistan, said, and this is when he was working for you, that Russia is supplying weapons to the Taliban. Isn't that enough to challenge Putin over the killings of
Well, we
US
supplied
soldiers?
weapons when they were fighting Russia too. You know, when they were fighting with the Taliban in Afghanistan.
It's a different era.
Well, I'm just saying, yes.
But does that- how does that
I'm just
affect-
saying we did that too.
But how does that-
I don't know. I didn't ask Nicholson about that. He was there for a long time. Didn't have great success because he was there before me, and then ultimately I made a change.
But you surely heard that, right? I mean, it's well known in the intelligence community that they're arming the Taliban, Russia.
I don't know. When you say arming, is
Supplying
the Taliban
weapons.
paying or?
What do you mean by arming? Is he giving them arms? Yeah, I remember I was at the Cincinnati Zoo once, and I remember I see those like those grabby the shark chompy grabby thing. Is that what you're saying they're giving them? What do you mean by arming? Mr. President, they're giving them guns and ammunition. It hasn't come across my desk.
Russia is supplying weapons and money to the Taliban.
I have heard that, but it's never it's never reached my desk.
I mean, he said it on the record when he was in.
Hey, Russia doesn't want anything to do with Afghanistan.
Dude, John Swan is just destroying this man. John Swan is just, he's so, I don't know why Trump decides to, why doesn't he do another interview with Hannity or something? Why doesn't do an interview with like Tucker Carlson? Why doesn't he do an interview with them? He only goes on the phone with them. Why does he go on the interview with these people who actually eat his entire ass? Why? I don't get it. Is he just this dumb? Is there someone who's setting up these interviews for him, who's like working behind the scenes to make sure that he loses the election? It's so hard for me to believe that Trump actually walks into these interviews and thinks he does a good job. Like these interviews are theater for weeks after they come out, because he does so incredibly poorly. Every time do you think he could do like that bad, he does even worse. It's incredible to me how Trump actually genuinely, unironically believes that this is a good thing for his presidency. Maybe he should take a page out of Joe Biden's book and just shut up. just sit in the basement and shut up. Maybe his polling would improve too.
Afghanistan. Let me just tell you about Russia. Russia used to be a thing called the Soviet Union. Because of Afghanistan.
Well, guys, are you ready for Trump University history lesson? So, as you see, Russia used to be something not many people have heard of it. It's pretty underground. The Soviet Union. And
Understand, they went bankrupt. They became Russia, just so you do understand, okay? The last thing that Russia wants to do is get too much involved with Afghanistan. They tried that once. It didn't work out too well.
Last question on this subject.
And by the way, we're largely out of Afghanistan, as you probably know.
Well, wanted to ask you about that. The US troop level in Afghanistan right now is roughly the same as it was when
No, you're wrong. No.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. We have to do...
Okay, are you ready?
No,
We'll be down in a very short... It's already planned.
Well, that's the...
oh, we'll be down in a very short... He's like, oh, it was down. And then Swan pushed him on it. And he's like, well, it'll be down soon. Like, okay. All right.
That's a different question.
We'll be down in a very short period of time to 8,000. Then we're going to be down to 4,000. We're
John Swan's literally having heart palpitations talking with Donald Trump.
negotiating right now. We've been there for 19 years.
I know.
19 years.
But if you just let me finish my
We'll
question.
be getting out.
I understand. Look, when you came in, it was 8,800. You boosted to 14,000, and now you're back down to 8,500.
We're now...
My question to
we'll
you...
be at 4,000. I'll give you the exact... Very soon. Very soon.
What will be the number? Very
Oh,
soon?
very, very soon, like that healthcare plan that he said that he would put out in the last interview, and that didn't happen. I think it's going to be very soon, just like that.
4,000?
Very soon, yeah.
Like how soon?
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you
It's big
that.
news.
What is that? That is
Going down to 4,000, isn't it?
No, I've always said...
Well, what about election?
Oh, he just threw out a fucking number. He had no plans to do that, and he's not going to follow through with it. Yep, sounds about right.
We will get largely out.
On election day, how many American troops will be in Afghanistan?
Probably anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000.
That's almost as many as when you came into office.
No, it's not.
8,000.
We had much more. We had a lot of people over there, too.
8,800.
A lot of people. And we did a good job. We wiped out ISIS.
Have you thought about going down to
Let me
zero?
just tell you what you don't say. We took out in
He's like, no.
Syria, we took out ISIS. We 100% of the caliphate. When I took over...
So much for your anti-war president, boys. So much for your anti-war president.
Obama, it was totally rampant. ISIS was all over the place. We took them out, we captured them, we killed them. 100%, not 99%. I wanted to get out at 99. Everyone said, oh, please, would you stay? I stayed. 99% was good, but 100% of the caliphate. We took out Soleimani. We took out...
We took out Salami. We took out Pastrami. We took out all of the evil leaders over there in the Middle East.
al-Baghdadi. We took out people that nobody thought possible.
I love the way. See, listen, you can say whatever you want about Trump, but the way he pronounces words is actually hilarious. Baghdadi.
Al-Baghdadi was the biggest terrorist of them all. They couldn't find him. I took him out. Soleimani, even bigger. I took him out.
He's the biggest. He's the baddest of the bunch.
I mean, fortunately, not too many. They should have never been in the Middle East. The decision to go to the Middle East and get into the Middle East was the single biggest mistake made in the history of our country. That's my opinion.
You told Fox News recently that you couldn't say whether you'd accept the results of the 2020 election. What does that actually look like as the sitting president? I mean, it's unprecedented. What would that actually look
Hillary
like?
Clinton never accepted him.
She conceded on it. She conceded on it.
Doesn't accept him, and she got
That's an important
very
point.
easily.
That's an important point. She conceded on election night. Now, she grumbled about it and said all sorts of...
Boomer needs to get to bed. Good night. It's nice to have you here, Kat. Get some good rest, all right? And take care of yourself. Take care of you and your family. Go get your free COVID test. Go get another free one from me, okay? Me living in America land. I have to pay out the big bucks for that one.
Grumbled? She
Okay,
wrote books
fine.
about it.
She wrote
I
books.
don't use the word grumbled.
Fine, but-
she wrote books about it.
That's fine, but I'm
And
just...
she got beaten
I
easy.
get it. I get it.
306 to 223.
I'm
That's
not
a lot.
disputing you beat Hillary Clinton.
That's a lot.
Listen, what I'm asking is you'll be the sitting president in the White House. What does that look like? Not
I'll
accepting...
tell you what it looks like.
Are you litigating?
Let me tell you what it looks
Okay.
like.
He's gonna take her. He's gonna take him to court. Taking Joe Biden to court. He's gonna sue for being a big poopy meanie head.
So we have a new phenomena. It's called mail-in voting, where you send where a governor.
New phenomena. Hasn't mail-in voting been like around since the USPS? Hasn't mail-in voting been around since like forever? I don't know how long mail-in voting, absentee voting has been around, but I'm pretty sure it's for a pretty long time.
It's a
It's
civil
new
war.
in terms of the kind of millions and millions of ballots. They've never.
It'll
done
be
anything like
bigger
this.
this year because of the pandemic.
Bigger, not bigger, massively bigger.
Yeah, because of the
So they're
pandemic.
going to send tens of millions of ballots to California, all over the place. Who's going to get them? I have a friend lives in Westchester County.
Also, I'm not even sure if massively bigger. They're expecting like an increase, but I'm not sure if it's an increase of like 100% or 200%. Because already 20% of people vote by mail. I'm pretty sure they're expecting it to increase by like a third or something. I'm not sure if they're, which is still a lot for when you're talking about 20%. But I'm not sure if Trump's like 110% of people are going to be voting by mail and the 10% of the 3 million illegals who vote.
They send applications, not that.
His son passed away. He had a beautiful, wonderful son, young man, passed away 7 years ago. He called me. He said, I just got a ballot
Probably an
from my
application.
son, Robert. He died 7 years ago. Somebody got a ballot for a dog. Somebody got a ballot for something else. You got millions of ballots going. Nobody even knows where they're going. You look at some of the corruption having to do with universal mail-in voting. Absentee voting is okay. You have to apply. You have to go through a process.
You have to apply for mail-in.
Absentee
It's the
voting
same
is
thing.
good. Look,
Okay, let's do concrete. Let's do concrete.
Jonathan, they're sending out
Applications.
governors
Download them.
millions of ballots.
No, they're not.
There
It's
is-
applications. You can get
There
logged
is
into
no way you can go through a mail-in vote without massive cheating.
I honestly
That's just not true. But he's trying to make it so anyways by trying to throwing up his new postmaster general and trying to destroy the USPS.
don't understand this topic with
Go
you.
ahead.
The Republican Party has an extremely well-funded vote-by-mail program. Your campaign puts out emails telling people to vote by mail.
Correct.
Your daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, she did robocalls in California saying it's safe and secure, mail-in voting.
Let me tell you.
He's like, yeah, like after his massive attacks on mail-in voting and fear-mongering his like boomer base to never vote by mail and go into the voting booth without a mask on and like vote there. Yeah, like I don't even know if this is going to work anymore with all of the rhetoric he's put out about how bad mail-in voting is, with how bad mail-in voting is, and his staff is even trying to like walk that back because they need people to go mail in vote, because the people who don't mail in that vote most of them aren't just gonna walk in. Lots of them are just gonna not vote.
Republican
We have no
won.
choice.
That was an all-mail-in race.
Let me tell you. You ready?
Yeah.
We have no choice because right now we have many court cases that we're waiting. We have one filed in Western Pennsylvania. We have many court cases where we're trying to end it. We went.
Yeah. He's trying to make his base vote by mail in places where he needs it, and places where he thinks that he can suppress the vote of Democrats. He's trying to file lawsuits to make sure that they can't do vote by mail, to make sure that he can maybe squeak out a victory by disenfranchising Americans from their human right to vote.
Through World War I, you went to the polls, you voted. We went through World War II, you went to the polls, you
had
voted.
mail-in voting
and now
since the Civil
because
War.
of the China virus, we're supposed to stay home, send millions of ballots all over the country, millions and
I
millions.
didn't know he brought that
you
one
could
back,
have a
China
case
virus.
where this election won't be decided on the evening of November 3rd.
Absolutely.
This election could
What's
be
wrong with that?
decided 2 months later.
It won't be 2 months. What's wrong with the proper
It could
mailing
be
count?
decided
He's trying to make it sound like it's the election is going to be decided 15 years later. Didn't he say that literally? He's like, you may never know when people are gonna you may never know the effect of this result. You may never know.
8 months later.
Have you discussed
You know
with-
why? Because lots of things will happen during that period of time, especially when you have tight margins. Lots of things can happen. There's never been anything like this when you try. Now, of course, right now we have to live with it, but we're challenging it in many courts,
You're
as
gonna
you know,
litigate.
all over the country.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine
I like this guy's Chelsea boots. I haven't seen a suit with Chelsea boots in a while. They look good.
Maxwell has been arrested on allegations
I'm not sure how I feel about navy with black though, but you need to switch up the choice there, John Schwan.
of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a
Well, first
person
of all, I
well?
don't know that, but I do know that
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know
her
that.
friend or boyfriend.
Epstein.
He's like, I don't know about that. He's trying to make it distance himself so hard from Epstein, even though they were like they're like big besties all their lives.
Was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, you do know that
Oh,
she's
so you're
guilty.
saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
mean,
they
she's
made
a
it
child alleged child
such
sex
a
trafficker.
big deal. But
Oh yeah, he had to throw the alleged in there. He's like, wait a second, I'm a reporter.
all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
Let's move to Portland. I'm sure you've seen the disturbing footage of people in fatigues beating the Navy veteran.
No.
Well,
Here you
it's
go.
there.
The fake news.
It's not fake news. It's on video.
For
Pepper spraying
59
him.
days, these people were anarchists and agitators and some protesters, but these were anarchists.
And some protesters. Listen, Wait, actually, I just saw something super important come up. We'll have to talk about that soon. So listen, okay. Lots of conservatives try to bring like all of the protests down by saying that it's like by saying it's like, oh, look at all the protests are looting. Oh my gosh, everything is so terrible. There's so much looting. Every time BLM does a protest, it's actually a big looting spree. All they do is shoot up buildings. It's so terrible. Listen, this just isn't true. Here, let me see if I can pull something up. So there's a reason why when you type in looting, what do you get? 2 days ago, 3 men charged in downtown looting. And if I remember this correctly, this was a long while ago. Is that these men were, is that the looting actually happened? They actually just found these guys 2 months after looting. 2 months. Hobbled by looting. New York small businesses need to pick me up. That's about the Nazis. This was 3 weeks ago. That one was like 3 weeks ago. June 11th, June 10th, June 2nd. This is June 2nd. June 19th, June 2nd, June 1st. Like, these protests, day after day, the protests got more peaceful and more peaceful because people stopped tolerating rabble-rousers within their ranks. And because of that, there is less and less violence. And now one of the only parts of violence that you see. Oh, here's one. What, this week, three people a week ago. White supremacists instigated looting at George Floyd rally. I think that was that one guy with like the umbrella man who was bashing windows. He was trying to instigate looting. That guy, like. All of this stuff is so long ago. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 1 month ago, 1 month ago. Like, all of this stuff was so long ago. And like not to support any like crimes that were happening, obviously, but to say that all these protests are just like violent is just untrue. And now the majority of the violence that's happening out on the streets has been the cops against like peaceful protesters, just gassing peaceful protesters. Yes, that's actually happening. It happened in Portland. 100% peaceful protesters. The police call the protest an unlawful gathering and then gas them. So I'm not buying this, not one bit.
These people were beating the hell out of the city. They were beating up our federal buildings and our federal courthouse. We told the police to stop it. You make sure. And the police wouldn't do it. Not the police.
Your own Justice Department and Homeland Security Inspector Generals.
Excuse me.
Your Inspector Generals are investigating unconstitutional.
You're trying now to blame law enforcement instead of anarchists. Instead of Antifa.
I'm not.
It's Antifa and anarchists that are.
Antifa. It's Auntie Tifa. It's her. She's doing it. It's not me. Please let me get a win re-election. I don't want to go to jail.
Causing the problems, not law enforcement. Our law enforcement, if we didn't have people at our courthouse, and they're strong, tough people, and they try and be very good, believe me, but if we didn't have people there, you would have your federal courthouse, $600 million building, you would have that thing burned to the ground.
I'm asking you about tactics.
Listen, I mean, if citizens want to show their discontent with their federal government by attacking government buildings, I'm not going to support it because I don't support political violence. But hey, that's way better than doing it against civilian buildings. I'll say that much.
And about the unmarked vans where they're rounding people up. And
let me tell you
just finish my question.
No, we erase Florida, okay? And then the U.S. becomes 10% better.
Let me tell you about
Could I just finish my question because it relates to this, I promise. This is from Rand Paul. Quote, "We cannot give up liberty for security. Local law enforcement can and should be handling these situations in our cities, but there is no place for federal troops or unidentified federal agents rounding people up at will." What is your response to Senator Paul?
First of all, these are Homeland Security people. They're securing a courthouse.
They're Border Patrol.
They're
Border Patrol, Homeland Security, ICE, just like a bunch of there's like I think there were like 12 agencies, none of which were specifically trained in riots, in big gatherings, in protests. None of them were trained in any of these things that they were dealing with. So Trump sent out a bunch of people who are woefully unprepared and woefully ill-equipped to deal with crowds into a massive crowd, and obviously things turned for the worse because he's stupid.
Homeland Security,
elite units,
border. Hopefully they have
camo,
ice in there. Hopefully they have ice. Now, do you know why they're unmarked? Because these terrorists, these Antifa people, these people that are anarchists and agitators, when they see the name on a uniform of a person, a policeman or law enforcement person,
their name wasn't on their uniform.
They find out where that person lives, and then they go and they scare the hell out of the person's family. And so they
wait. See, listen, we have the names. We have the names of U.S. troops who are in the Middle East. They have their name they have their ID, they have all of that on their uniforms, not only in English, but also in Arabic. Okay. If our troops don't have to worry that much about literal unironic terrorists, then I don't think they have to worry too much about femboys in Portland.
Do it for that reason. It's just common sense. There's nothing secret about this. And you know it. You see it, what's going on right now. We have Chad Wolf. They have people. He's doing a fantastic job. He's the acting head. He's doing a fantastic job. Chad Wolf has pickets out, very dangerous looking people outside of his house. He's going to be just fine. He's tough and he's got people. But if you have the names on all of these uniforms, you'll have these maniacs in front of their houses.
Doing what? Protesting?
Scaring their family and their wives and or husbands, whatever it may be. I think it's a very good reason not to have your name.
Trump's trying to win back the gay vote.
Why should you have identification? My name is Bill Smith, and here's where I live, and I'm a member of...
The really serious concern is the reports... Not about that. The serious concern is the reports of people being rounded up and not being told why they're being detained. That's what's being investigated by... Mr. President, the Inspectors General...
Why? He says why. Yep, that's Donald Trump. He just doesn't understand what it's like to be a normal human being. Why? Why do you care?
The Inspectors General...
You know why they're being detained? Well, yeah.
There's an investigation. Do you support that investigation?
Well, I haven't seen the result yet.
But do you support the initiative of it?
No, I think that actually, I think Antifa should be investigated, not the law enforcement. They're investigating.
They shouldn't be investigating.
Have you been watching television?
I have.
Have you been seeing the violence?
Sure.
Now, if you watch NBC News, like I watch NBC Fake News, I'm watching it, Lester Holt, real beauty, and I'm watching this NBC News sham, and you have a mayor named Wheeler, and he's standing out there, and he's being...
Wheeler. That's the mayor of Minneapolis, isn't it? No, my bad. That's the mayor of Portland. Andrew Wheeler, isn't that right? Isn't that his name? He's the dude who was in the protest and the feds gassed him. They threw a tear gas canister at his head.
Being accosted by the people, you know that. It's horrible what they're doing to him. Portland, the mayor of Portland, and he thought he'd go out, he'd be what they were doing and saying and everything else to him. I happened to watch it on a different station. He had to get out. He had 5 security guards. He got out with his life. Okay,
Mr. President,
if you watch NBC News, they make him like he's standing there bravely fighting with the people. In a positive sense, that everything is wonderful. No, he went out there. He's lucky he got away with his life because they would have killed him. He had 5 guards, but NBC News showed it like he's standing with the people for justice. Look, those people, take a look.
Wait, a mayor of one of the biggest cities in the country had guards with him to make sure no one stabbed him in the throat. Crazy. Who could have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it?
What they've done to the courthouse. Take a look at what they've done to the streets. Take a look at the violence.
Spray painted?
It's getting worse since they've gone in.
It's getting better. We've arrested a lot of people, and we now have a 10-year rule. You try and knock
more
down our courthouse.
More businesses damaged, more violence.
You touch our courthouse, you go to jail for 10 years.
Turning to the rest of the country.
I don't even know if he can do that.
We haven't seen protests like this since the 60s. We're seeing...
These are Democrat
if I can finish my question.
cities.
If I can finish my question.
And they're doing it for political reasons.
You said you've done so much for African Americans.
I have.
But there are Americans...
Justice
I understand.
reform,
That's my favorite black right there.
There are Americans out in the streets asking for change. Mr. President, have you ever met with a Black Lives Matter activist to hear them out, hear their arguments?
Well, Black Lives Matter...
No.
...started off, to me, very badly because it was...
Did you ever meet with one?
Pigs in a blanket, burn them like bacon. That was the first time I ever heard of black... That was 3-4 years ago.
Right.
Pigs, meaning policemen. Pigs is what they're referring to, in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I thought it was... So I got off to a bad start. I got off to a very bad start.
Would you meet with a Black Lives Matter activist?
I would, but I think right now when they paint...
Why haven't you?
When they paint the sign, nobody's asked for a meeting. Nobody's ever asked me for a meeting.
What does like a Black Lives Matter like protester have to be knock on the doors of the White House? Mr. President, sir, I would like a word with you. He's like, yes, we've been waiting for you, Mr. CEO of BLM protesters. Yes, please take a seat. Yes. What are you talking about? Nobody's asking. No, you don't care. You're not going to talk to one. You just want to fearmonger them to make sure that you can latch onto something as your dwindling re-election chances slip between your greasy monkey paws. As you flounder and trying to look at anything to make sure you don't spend the rest of your life in jail. I hate you.
Let me tell you, with African Americans, I'm doing very well. They had the best employment numbers they've ever had. They had the best job numbers they've ever had. They were making more money than they ever made. We were all set until we got hit by China with the virus. Jonathan, we were becoming a very unified country because of success.
I understand. Do you believe, though, Mr. President, that many police treat black people differently from white people?
Well, I hope not. Certainly
you've seen the statistics.
The knee on the neck was a disgrace, okay? Yeah. It was a disgrace.
I'm talking about, what does systemic racism mean to you?
I hope.
He doesn't even know what that means. He doesn't even know what that word means.
The answer to that question is no. Does anybody really answer that question accurately?
But what about not hope? What about analysis? What's your cold-hearted
I have seen where there is a difference, and I don't want there to be a difference. I don't like that there would be a difference. But with that,
my man has no clue what he's talking about. He's like, listen, the aides were like, listen, you got to appeal to black voters somehow. Just say something. He's like, I heard that there's a difference somewhere. And that is bad. I don't want that, but he has to appeal to like the people who are like, yes, America's in a post-racist state. I've never seen a racism in my entire life when I've been walking the streets of America. So he has to appeal to both people. It's not going to work.
That being said,
why do you think black men are 2.5 times?
White people,
I know, but why do you think black men
in a larger number
in quantity
police have killed white people?
But why do you think black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than white men?
That I don't know, but I don't like it.
But you must have thought about it.
I don't know why, but I don't like it. I do know this.
Does it speak to something
police
systemic?
Have killed many white people also.
But proportionally, what does it speak to?
It speaks to something. If that's the number, you're telling me a number. Okay,
it speaks to something. Do it, Trump. Say it.
It speaks to something that to me is unacceptable.
And what do you do about it?
Well, I think we've already done a lot of things.
You haven't. It still exists.
He's saying literally nothing. Words are coming out of I heard that there's a difference, and the difference is bad. It speaks to something that can be unacceptable for reasons. Go get him, Swan. He's going for the swan. He's going for the swan spear.
I understand your achievements. I know what you're going to say. I'm not suggesting you haven't done a lot economically.
I've done a thing called criminal justice reform.
I'm just saying what changes.
President Obama couldn't.
It's not my friend. I'm asking about that statistic.
He tried, but he couldn't get it done. I got criminal justice.
I get it.
I got opportunity zones. I took care of the historically black. If you look at what I.
What the fuck are you talking about? I'm so confused.
I've done for colleges, for black colleges and universities. I got them funding. Obama never did it. I did more for the black community than anybody, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. Whether you like it or not, people say, "Ooh."
What the heck? Wait, does he just skip over like 1964? Does that like not exist? What like LBJ and Kennedy did? Did he just skip right over that? Just I've done what has he ever? He hasn't gotten any legislation through at all. Thank you so much, Slobbering, for the follow, Chief. I'm just like I don't know. He hasn't passed any legislation. No matter what you think of Trump, Trump's been one of the worst presidents when it comes to pushing through legislation through the Congress in like the history of U.S. presidents ever, maybe except for like Gerald Ford, maybe. I just don't understand how he could say he's even ranking maybe top 30 with the things. I mean, well, maybe, I don't know, because a couple of those guys were literally owned to black people as property. So maybe top 20. He can't say he's like top 20. I don't think. Maybe, I don't know. But he's not. He's definitely not up there with them. Well, perhaps that he hasn't. You know what? I'll give Trump one thing, that he hasn't, as far as we know, he hasn't owned any black people as literal property, and that is a good thing. Thank you, Donald Trump, for your contributions to the black experience in America.
You believe you did more than Lyndon Johnson, who passed the Civil Rights Act?
I think I did, yeah.
How?
Because I got criminal justice reform.
He says yes. He says how. Hit him. I want to hear how Trump's. I want to hear how whatever Trump did in 3.5 years in office is better than the Civil Rights Act.
I got prison reform.
Lyndon Johnson.
He
passed the Civil Rights Act.
How has it worked out? If you take a look at what Lyndon Johnson did.
You think the Civil Rights Act was a mistake?
How has it worked out? Because frankly, it took a long time. But for African Americans, under my administration, Jonathan, under my administration, African Americans were doing better than they had ever done in the history of this country. So I did a lot. Job numbers, all of the money. They had money. They were getting great. Their percentage was up. Their housing.
Yeah, I do think that Ivanka is his is a pet. He thinks of Ivanka as a pet. To him, you know, I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that framing. I heard that she cried when she realized that he actually won the election.
Ownership was. They did better than they've ever done until we got hit. And now, you know what we're doing? I'm building it up again. We're going to have it next year. Will be a great year, unless it's screwed up.
Wait, Trump just kind of was there as black unemployment and businesses were going up. He did nothing. He just existed while things happened. It's like saying I was born, and then when I was born, black people were doing better than they ever have in the country. Yeah, because they went from having literally no rights and were owned as property. So yeah, I mean, yeah, they're doing better now. Also, I do like the conspiracy theory that the only reason that Trump is dating Ivanka is to harvest her hair for new toupees. That does sound pretty sick. I'm not going to lie.
By somebody that doesn't know what he's doing, which could happen, but I don't think it will.
John Lewis is lying in state in the US Capitol. How do you think history will remember John Lewis?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know John Lewis. He chose not to come to my inauguration. He chose. I never.
Wow. Hey, welcome back. Despite John Lewis, civil rights leader, why did you go to his funeral? Well, that bitch didn't come to my inauguration. What the fuck? Wow. Okay, then. So, wow. All right. My man holds kindergarten level grudges.
Never met John Lewis, actually. I don't believe.
Do you find him impressive?
Well, he's trying to pander hard to that white identity politics vote.
I can't say one way or the other. I find a lot of people impressive. I find many people not impressive. But I didn't go.
Do you find his story impressive?
He didn't come to my inauguration. He didn't come to my State of the Union speeches, and that's okay. That's his.
Trump. He literally can only think of the world revolves around this man's toupee. He can't think of the world in any other form of in any other way than just anything that if you don't give me what I want, I won't treat you like a human being.
Right. And again, nobody has done more for black Americans than I have.
I understand.
He should have come. But I think he made a big mistake.
But taking your relationship with him out of it, do you find his story impressive, what he's done for this country?
He was a person that devoted a lot of energy and a lot of heart to civil rights, but there were many others also.
There's a petition.
Wow, dude. He just holds grudges real hard. John McCain, John Lewis. Maybe he just hates Johns. You ever think about that? Maybe he just hates Johns. I don't know. Maybe he has a grudge. He has a grudge against them. Maybe he had a bully back in his rich high school who bullied him for not being rich enough. Maybe it was one of the Waltons. Maybe it was John Walton. Who knows? And now he has a big grudge against Johns. He was a proper political person. He doesn't like them. Yes, yeah, true.
To rename the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama as the John Lewis Bridge. Would you support that idea?
I would have no objection to it if they'd like to do it.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Would have no objection to it whatsoever.
Okay. Mr. President, you've been so generous with your time, and we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Great honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What? The way Trump's look, he's like, let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out. Let me out.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. That was incredible. Also, I think Kennedy has the coolest picture in the White House. I'm sorry, Kennedy just has one of the coolest pictures. They're looking down, arms crossed. That's way better than all these nerds. You know, look at these ugly ass portraits.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Fugly portraits, dude. Fugly. They all look the same. This one too realistic, kind of cringe. I don't like the way his hand looks. His right hand. He looks like a freaking he looks like a Lego character. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Kennedy, based. I can feel the texture. I can see the emotion. Kennedy's portrait is the best portrait. This is good. This is based. Anything else, cringe. All right, this is a good picture. Oh my gosh, who even is that? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. All right. I think that's all I got. All right. So that was insane. Can we see some of these comments? I'm talking about death. Trump. I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. Yeah, that's true. Trump. I'm talking about deaths. Listen. What? I'm sorry, but this isn't funny anymore. It's starting to get less funny. I'm going to say. I read the manuals. What manuals? Read the books. What books? Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. The manuals, the books. It's unbelievable how he denies everything and won't admit anything. Yeah, and then like the conservatives fall in like lockstep with him, no matter where he's walking. It's incredible. Hey, I mean, that's real power. If everybody just kind of falls in line, that was GG. We made it through there without killing ourselves. No, hopefully some people didn't. That is a big GG. Serious question. Why did Trump agree to this interview? That's the same thing I'm asking, dude. It's incredible. Why did he do this? Why does he do this? Maybe he just hates himself. Who knows? At this point, I am still of the opinion that maybe he is just trying to lose. At this point, maybe he's just trying to lose. I don't know.